Welcome to another part of our JavaScript series. I'm Philipp, product leader at United Codes, and let's get started. Today we're going to talk about events. So what are actually events? Which types of events do exist? How can we listen to them? And I will also show you how to trigger custom events. In the end, we will see something like this. So first, like understanding what types of events here are and how we can listen to them. And also this demo here where we can raise a salary via a click here that triggers the event and then updates the data in the database. The purpose of events is to notify somebody else that something important have happened. So others can listen to it, mostly you as a developer, and then do something as a reaction to it. The browser comes with many default events. So for example here, in this text field, if I click into it, that's actually focusing the elements. You can see the blue border. I'm actively in the element, and that's called focus. And when I enter this, then the focus event gets called on this input element. If I click out, the opposite of focus is blur. So losing focus, it's called blur. Then this is called so focus blur. Or additionally, there are other types like key down. That's when I press down. Key up is the next one. Then the value is updated. So on key down, actually, it's not even typed just after it. And then on key up also. And after we change something, so now it's just a bunch of key ups and key downs. If I lose focus again, then the change is called. And we have our new value. Same is for like checkboxes. We have like change events and focus and blur. We of course don't have like a key down here. On the select, similar, we have like a change event, focus, etc. We actually have key up and key down if I change it with my keyboard. Okay, how can we actually listen to these events? So for that we fortunately have dynamic actions. So you can just create a dynamic action. And if you notice here, there's always this when section with the thing called event. So here are already all of the or many of the default events like change click, double click, tab, input, get focus, lose focus, etc. Some of these I showed you here in the demo, others are additional ones. Some are more for like mobile, like pan or swipe. Then there are also like custom events. We will see that later. After refresh, that's something that it's an Apex concept of refresh of a region. So Apex builds these themselves and also offers them here. So here, for example, we have like I have a new dynamic action change on the item checkbox, and then I can add an action. So when this happens, I alert change checkbox. So let's see how this looks. So again, I just click and boom, immediately this pops up. So we can really easily hook into these kind of things. And then do our own stuff like showing this box. So notice there's also like a programmatic way to listen to things. I'm just showing this you as to show you how that it's possible. But we will look at later episodes on how to code this out. But just here, like there's an on function on some of my elements here, on focus, and then there's a function do something. Keep this in mind. But again, we will look at this closer in a future video. Okay, now the interesting demo. So here's a table again, and I can give each employee a raise. So for example, Martin now has 200 more. I can even change it to 150. Give Blake, he has now 3 grants. This is also called by using events. So basically, I want to have a trigger when I click this button to then want to execute dynamic action that does the action. And we can use events for that. So let me go to the classic report in this case. So I have a custom column called raise salary. In the query, it's actually just queried as null, but the magic is here inside the HTML expression. So we have a button. It's important to use type button so it doesn't submit when you click it. I use the tButton class so it looks like an Apex button. And then the magic here is this onClick attribute, and this onClick calls a JavaScript function. So I have defined a function called trigger raise, and then I pass the emp no. So hash emp no hash, that's in classic reports the way to substitute this one with the actual value of this emp no. That's our primary key. So if we look at this in the actual rendered page, you can see here the the number was actually substituted, and each button basically has a different ID here on the onClick attribute. But now, more importantly, let's look at the function that gets called. So here, function trigger raise, just a few lines, we pass the emp now, and then I have a hidden item called p4emp now, and I set it just to the emp now. That's just important for the update we run later, so we can reference it in the where condition. And then I call apex event.trigger, and that's our way to create a custom event basically. Remember apex.oracle.com/JS-API. That's our way to the documentation. And here we see on the left side the Apex event workspace. There's just this function trigger. So first we pass a selector, and that's basically an event has always like a destination. So for example, in the inputs, like the select list, when I change that, I want to know like this select list changed. So a change event is fired on this select list, not on any other element, just on the select list. Similar, so here you want to trigger an event on something that makes sense. You can make it like globally in the document, but like if you have maybe multiple regions, it makes more sense to fire it on the region it's actually depending on, etc. Then we have an event here, and that's just the name of the event. You can put anything in there. It's just a sense of then when you listen to it, you also need to put in the same name there. And then optionally, we can also pass data. That's interesting. For example, to give more details, I changed this, or like this triggered it, or you can put anything in there. And that's nice for the listeners to the event. They can then get this information and do something without it. Keep in mind, in my case, I just set this emp now already to a page item. So it's already in there. So I don't need to pass any value here, but I could have, of course, also just passed it here and then on the listener handled this setting the page item. So in my event, I fired on the region that's called emp table. So here, this classic report has a static ID of emp table. So that's where I fire my event, and then I choose a custom event name called raise_salary. Now the important part, listening to the event. So I have another dynamic action here, and notice here on the event when, down below at the button there's a custom, and that's for any event you create. So in my case it's raise_salary, so I just need to put it in here. And then I also need to tell where it's fired. I mean, again, you could fire it on multiple regions, etc. As I used on the trigger event the static ID of the region, I can just use here the region selector of my emp's region, and then it will get notified when I fire this. And now we're back to normal Apex. What I do next is just execute server-side code. I just run an update on the emp table, set the salary to salary plus the p4 raise salary by item, and then where emp now equals p4 emp now. And important, don't forget to put both items in items to submit, because the update runs on the server and the items here are first on the client. This basically tells them to send the new values, because like if I click here, then it's a different emp now. If I click here, that's a different emp now. And if I change this, then it needs to use the 500, not the old value. So we just send it to the server. After that, we just do a refresh to see it actually changed. And that's already it. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you in the next video. Bye bye.